this important hearing on this critical issue and for your leadership throughout to focus on the leverage that the federal government has to negotiate down the cost of health care and up the quality, including as it relates to prescription drugs. My colleague Ron Kine focused in on the issue of industry advertising, the pharmaceutical industry. They spent about $6 billion doing that. It's about a 10% increase each year. And if you watch, pharmaceutical ads on television, they don't target consumers based on science. They target consumers based on emotion. In most of the ads that you see, the people are typically good-looking, they're happy, and it always happens to be sunny. And that is an emotional appeal directly to consumers, bypassing the medical professionals that ought to be making these decisions. The United States is one of only 2 countries that allows for direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical advertising. The federal government is the largest purchaser of health care. It's the fastest growing expense of health care is the cost of prescription drugs. I have one thought and 2 questions for each of you. If you have a $1 trillion industry, the drug costs under Medicare are increasing between 11 and 14% a year. But given the number of Medicare beneficiaries that have the pharmaceutical benefit, the drug benefit, Medicare Part D, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of leverage. And I think that the federal government consistently fails to use the market leverage of Medicare to drive down the costs of pharmaceuticals. We've been talking about this issue for 20 years, and drug prices are at a 20-year high today. So I have 2 questions. The first is the pharmaceutical drug industry, are they involved in a conspiracy to fix drug prices in the United States? And if we were to use the market leverage that we have under Medicare, by what percentage do you believe that we could reduce the cost of drugs? I also want to say that the idea of a conspiracy, a price-fixing conspiracy, is not mine. According to Humana, a conspiracy led by an unprecedented increase of 2,400% for drugs, 1,000% and 600%. 47 of the attorneys generals in different states have joined this lawsuit, alleging a conspiracy. So each one of you, if you would respond about the conspiracy, yes or no, and by what percentage do you believe, using that leverage, we can cut drug prices in America? Ms. Feldman.
Yes, sir. The name of the game in bargaining is bargaining power.
Right.
The bigger buyer you are, the more power and the more you can drive that bargain. It's worked very well for the government, for the Veterans Administration. It's worked better in Medicaid than in Medicare. Why shouldn't the government help with negotiating and still leave room for folks on their own to see if they can negotiate something better? That's
yes,
what I would do if I had that power.
Okay.
You wanted a yes.
I want a yes. And what percentage do you believe that if we fully use that marketing power, we could reduce the cost of prescription drugs?
That I'm afraid I would have to think some more about. I don't have a crystal ball, but it would be sufficient.
Doctor, you're up.
So to answer the question, should the government use its leverage in a better way? Yes, definitely. And I think that that could have a meaningful effect on reducing drug spending. Again, a percentage I probably wouldn't be able to offer, but I think the real question is you could reduce it as much as you want, but how much can you reduce it without affecting meaningful innovation? And I think that you could reduce it substantially without affecting meaningful innovation. The second question as to conspiracy, I'm not going to go into the legal definition of
Professor.
conspiracy.
I would say with respect to the percent, I mean, one thing you might do is look at Europe, right? Europe, on average, many countries there pay half what we pay. You could also look at the VA, which pays substantially less. I think the figure there, something on the order of 40% for many drugs and so forth. So those might give you some indication if that's helpful.
It isn't. And I'll tell you, I expected more, to be truthful. You're all here, admonishing us to do more about this issue, and you have a certain degree of leverage yourselves as experts in the area. And I've read figures that say that, under the VA, there's a 40% discount by using the market leverage of some 30 million beneficiaries. Again, this whole idea of a conspiracy is not something that I've brought up. It's a lawsuit by Humana. It's joined by 47 attorneys generals. There is ample evidence to support this. And, we need the expertise of your industry to help us help the American people.
Thank you very much. I believe
I'll yield back.
your time is up.